Over the last couple of months, I have been diving into the world of NFTs. It's a buzzword you've probably heard about, but here's what I've learned. If you're a creator, a content creator of some sort, you need to be paying attention to what's going on in the NFT world because this is probably the greatest invention for creators since the internet. I'm going to tell you why, but first, let's roll that intro. This channel is about branding, where creativity meets business. Branding isn't an aesthetic decision, it's a strategic business decision. Welcome back to the video, everybody. We're talking about NFTs today, and if you do not know what an NFT is, I will give you a very brief explanation, though you've probably heard it already before. It's a picture, right? Like, that's what you've heard. It's a JPEG, but it's verifiable with the blockchain. So what it really means is that any digital asset can be verified by a decentralized network to prove both ownership and history of that asset. Okay, well, that's pretty high level overview, and you're probably thinking, sounds good, don't really see why it matters. Well, here's the deal. I think that the technology of having NFTs is about to revolutionize the way that we as creatives are able to operate. Now, here's why this is really cool if you're creative. Ever since the internet, we have really not had a way to protect our work. If we create a piece of video content, if we create a photograph, or maybe a digital piece of artwork, graphic design, a logo, any sort of layout design, there's no way for us to prove originality of where that came from. Ever since the internet, if I wanted your picture, right, I could just Google around, find it, right click, save that image to my computer, and now I own it. There's no way to actually say you own any of the files in your hard drive. If I cloned your hard drive right now today, whatever type of creative you are, I would get access to all of your work. And then I, myself, could claim that that is my work and I could sell it or I could copy it. You would have no control over what I do with that work. So this is kind of a big issue because before the internet, before computers, like that just didn't happen, right? You painted on canvas, you took a photograph, you got that thing printed, and that was it. That was the one copy. That film was the only copy. Now we have these digital copies where it's free to make as many copies as we want. It's free to distribute copies however we want. And so, you could argue that there's some sites that have tried to kind of go back to that. There's some different creative asset sites such as like Shutterstock where they try to keep limits on who can download that photo and use that photo. In reality, do we really believe that they're doing a good job of that at all, right? Like if I want a photo off of Shutterstock, I can probably find a sketchy site where I can get it for free. And if not, if somebody else buys that photo, they could send it out to whoever they wanted to, and all of those people could also use that photo. Like there's really no way to verify who owns that photo. Once anything is on the internet, once you upload that picture to Instagram, once you upload that video content to YouTube, you don't own it anymore. Anybody owns it. Everybody owns it. That's the internet. This is a big problem for creatives because we are constantly getting ripped off. Like this system sucks for us that create content because our content is just out there. Anybody can use it. Anybody can steal it. Anybody can claim it. Anybody can copy it. Ultimately, nobody owns it. Not even ourselves. We can't even pull it back, right? Like there's nothing we can do. Here's what NFTs allow you to do. NFTs allow you to fingerprint assets and then you can verify who holds those assets. This means that if you were to create a work of art, right, you could make that an NFT and then you own that NFT. And yeah, somebody else can download it, but they don't own the actual copy. It proves that there's an original out there. And what that does is it says that there's value only on that original. So this actually creates value in the actual asset itself, right? If I'm a logo designer and all of my logos are NFTs, I can prove exactly when those logos were created. I can prove exactly who owns those logos. If I happen to be the creator of the Apple logo, for example, I can show that I was the creator of that asset and I did it at this certain date, and that therefore creates value because the logo and the company have become so popular. There's actually a lot of really interesting use cases here as we start to explore this idea of creative assets actually having ownership. Like, this is revolutionary for those of us that create this content. So yes, right now it's mostly pictures of apes and, random things that don't make a lot of sense, and people are trying to sell them for absurd amount of money. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But the technology, the underlying fundamental technology and concept of an NFT is really critical to us in the creative community, because as this technology becomes more widely adopted and also easier to access, it's going to mean that we have easier access to protecting our assets that we create. Think back on like all of the old popular artists, right? Or even artists that became famous after their death. Portraits, their pictures, their things that they created, they weren't valuable during their lifetime. They certainly weren't valuable when they started, right? But what happens when they become popular? Then all of a sudden, all of their work has a lot more value, because if you happen to have one of the first Van Gogh sketches from before he was popular, and it's one of a kind, the only one out there, and you happen to have it because he did it, of one of your ancestors and they passed it down through your lineage, that's worth a lot of money, isn't it? Like, to have one of the original Van Gogh sketches, even if it's not that good, there's no way for that to happen in the internet right now. Chances are the first assets you created probably don't have a lot of value either. But here's the thing, what if someday you do become that popular videographer, that famous photographer? All of a sudden, those assets probably have a lot more value. If somebody were to resell those assets because they had original ownership, which also is not possible right now, but if it is possible, this allows us creators to actually benefit off of us becoming more popular over time, because the assets also appreciate in value with us, and then we recoup that value when assets are traded or sold. I mean, the only way for you to really make money off of your assets is what? To grow a really popular Instagram account, or maybe to sell some of your creative assets on a marketplace? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. This is a way where we can actually start to move the needle towards making money off of our assets in a way that they should be used in the first place, which is a created work of which there is only one original copy, of which we can actually create and attach value to. That's why NFTs are really exciting to me right now as a graphic designer. I think there's a lot of super cool use cases for them. I've been getting really into just seeing what the culture is like and where this technology could lead. And I would encourage you, if you're a content creator, to do the same. Get into some NFT communities, get on Twitter, that's where the action is happening in the NFT space, and find out what this is all about. Let me know in the comments what you think about NFTs. Is it the future? Have you bought any? Not a fan of them? I would love to hear your thoughts. And in the meantime, I'll see you all in the next video.